lovers, welcome to our show. Again, we're in season 2, baby.
Can't believe it.
I know.
Can believe it.
I can. So we kind of gave you a little like mini segue of our thoughts and our aspirations. Is that the right word there? Of what we're going for this season. You know, like we're gonna start switching to every other week, not every week. We want to focus on quality over quantity, and really nail the content that we're trying to share and give out to the world. Make it more fun. Make sure you guys are laughing, having a good time. Maybe even learning a thing or two.
God damn, that'd be sweet.
Whew, I don't know, it's a lot of pressure. But we're really excited about it. We're going to be hitting the brewery tours real hard. Interviews is going to be a big increase as well. And we did a couple, but we're kicking off this episode with an incredible interview.
Amazing. Can't wait to get into it.
Can't wait to get into it. We've got some, some sweet t-shirts from the Brewers shirts because they love our show and we love them and we are excited to be sporting the gear.
That's right.
We got a whole bunch of really cool designs, lots of fun options. You want to be at Trash Panda
with a beer.
The best kind of Trash Pandas.
I mean, those are my best friends.
just sitting around there chomping on some
having
beer.
a good time.
Swish and Liz is like pairing her leftover PBR with some garbage. It really brings out the fruit in that pineapple that was molding. It's delicious.
I really like dipping the soggy bread into just the ooze of the trash can and just really brings out the funk.
Oh, sorry, Margaret. We're so excited that you love our show. Sorry if that was a terrible shout out, but I thought it was funny.
They're amazing shirts.
Yeah, they're amazing shirts.
Super simple.
Yeah.
Love the point.
You got the sloth. The sloth. Life's too short for good beer. So yeah, big fans, great company, great shirts.
Life's too short for bad beer.
Yeah, I agree. We haven't said that before. We live by that rule. But the links in the description if you want to check it out. Yeah, get some shirts. They're a lot of fun. They're a great company. Margaret's a great lady. Always appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Yeah, another thing we're getting into on top of those brewery tours, some awesome followers. Thank you so much for joining us. Is we're going to be talking about Women's History Month. It is March.
Yeah.
'Tis the season.
Yeah.
Our interview is definitely revolved around that today as we take an awesome tour through the science of beer. Can't wait to get into that. Fun facts will also be touching upon that. And can't remember if you said this or not, but we're going to be doing 10 episodes per the season. Not said it, yeah. So every other, but 10 sip-episodes per the season. So we got 10 coming out for you. We'll take a break about halfway through.
Yep.
However long that is. We have a hard time taking breaks. Shocker.
Yeah.
It goes about a week and we're like, oh God, what should we do? What should we do? And then like that week goes by and we shove everything into that week and it's like, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's true. That is kind of our MO.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we were ready to like take
a goddamn what do you call that? Like a jack in the box or like when you pull the cord on something, you gotta wind up. It's like at least for me, like always gotta wind up. I feel like I'm wound up a lot, and when I'm not wound up, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
it's very odd.
Relaxing. Yeah, relaxing is a skill.
Thank you.
It's a skill.
Have a hard time.
You have to learn it sometimes. We we were planning on taking honestly a little bit of time off, but we couldn't miss March. It doesn't make any sense for us to miss March with International Women's Day and to really highlight on the women in the space and what we're doing and kicking some major ass. So we're back again. So here we are. And I think those are the biggest. Oh, we're gonna get a little bit more theatric. The Ale Academy specifically is gonna be more of storyboarding, more of our terrible acting. If you couldn't tell from us just reading through stuff.
Oh, I did some high school plays.
Well, yeah. Oh, that is fair. You did. I did not. So that's gonna be a lot of fun.
In the lighting studio. But every now and then I was out front.
It makes sense.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
Face for radio.
Exactly. I'll hide behind this.
Skills for lighting. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to try to get stuff a little bit more personal. We got the top 10 going on. Like this week, we're going to dabble into what our favorite brewery tours are that we've actually personally gone on ourselves.
As we do brewery tours.
Yeah, we do a lot of brewery tours.
Sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And I'm trying to think, the Brews N Bites, that's the other huge, like, not huge, a little dramatic, but it's a big change up from us just being like,
dramatic.
well, hey guys, like here's this food that pairs really well. Instead, we're going to be eating it in front of you and letting you know this is what we expect out of it. Did it meet it? How does this work together? And kind of some notes as we go. So I think it's gonna be a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive,
a little less talk and a lot more action.
I like what our buddy Sam said, our lovely, amazing editor man, who also owns Shut Up and Drink Trivia in the local Denver area. Hit him up if you need some trivia. We're kind of switching it up to a show.
More of a show.
A little bit more of a show.
We'd like to perform and perform well for y'all.
It's true. We wanted to put more on our plates and make it more difficult on ourselves, which hopefully also results in you guys having more fun. So
and more eating on camera,
which Liz is very excited for. But yeah, that's kind of where we're going, and I think right now let's just jump into it. We've kind of given you the lead up, and we're really excited about this season. And there's a lot happening, and let's just get kicked off right now with the Ale Academy.
Welcome to the Ale Academy.
Yep.
Super excited about this one. Our goal is to make you laugh, enjoy yourself, and maybe even learn a little bit.
Maybe.
You never know.
Sorry if you don't. Hopefully at least laughed.
We're really excited either way.
Yeah, we had a good time making it. So here's our grand introduction.
This is Why Did My Beer Go Bad?
Oh wait, the curtain's open this way.
What made my beer go bad?
Have you ever wondered what turns a good beer bad? Today, we're discussing beer villains. And to be honest, the simple question is not as simple as it seems. Expert consultations and probably a few too many taste tests. Join us as we reveal the struggles and the solutions as we figure out
why did my beer go bad? Light, especially UV light, is beer's arch nemesis. We experimented with sunlight exposure, where we discovered just how quickly a beer can turn from refreshing to repulsive. It was about 10 to 15 minutes that our beer started smelling skunky.
As we know, for every negative, there's a positive. So we also explored why dark bottles and cans are beer's best defense against this bright enemy.
Oxygen might be essential for life, but it's a death sentence for beer's freshness. Our experiments revealed how exposure to air starts a process called oxidation, turning your beer stale. Temperature plays a crucial role in your beer's life. Too hot or too cold, and your beer ages prematurely. Our side-by-side comparison highlights the stark difference proper storage makes.
Finding the perfect chill for your beer is not just about preferences. It's about preservation. 38 to 40 degrees is best, and it helps beer last for up to 2 years, if kept refrigerated. Now, if your beer hits 77 degrees, it's as toast as your bread was for breakfast. Let's see how our beer intervention can save your beer from this invisible and breathtaking enemy.
Now armed with the knowledge of the invisible enemies of light, air, and temperature, we are on a mission to save our beers from the brink of badness. Witness the transformation from endangered beer to enjoyed cheers.
And here's the deal. You don't know what you don't know. But when you do know, knowledge is power. The right connections and applications not only save our beer, but also enhance our drinking experience.
And we'd like to say cheers to the beers saved, knowledge gained, and good times we've had. Remember, treat your beer right, and it'll never let you down. Life is too short for bad beer.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep enjoying, because that's what beer is all about. That was so much fun.
I had a great time. I laughed.
I don't know about you guys, but we had so much fun until it got a little chilly.
It was a little windy, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah. Favorite parts? What were your favorite parts about doing such a cinematic experience?
Kicking your ass in cornhole.
He really did. Just destroyed you. I didn't have to do a naked lap, but it wasn't that far off. This is also a cornhole expert.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I don't know about that.
We've got a pretty solid video of your cornhole skills that...
We should put that in here.
It's...
A little unorthodox.
Yeah, it's how she pitches in softball. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. I enjoyed kind of like visually trying to figure out how to piece together a movie. I've never done that before, so that was the first for me we started writing the script together.
Yep.
We've got things that obviously we want to always be improving on, but like started writing it together more. We're starting to come up with the visuals. Kind of what we decided in our very long off season is we both want to be more a part of each other's experiences.
World.
Yeah, like we both want to be more of the writing. We both want to be more of the visuals. And so this was kind of our first stab at that, and there'll be lots of improvements. But in general, like I had a lot of fun with it.
I also enjoyed all the beers that kept getting placed in front of me, and it was like, oh,
That's fair.
I guess I gotta drink this one.
We did do a lot of beers. A lot of half drank beers were sitting around after. I'm sorry, but
we got through most of them.
We did our best.
But to your point, the collaboration was a fun effort.
Yeah,
well done.
You're going to get the best of both of us, which still equals mediocre. So you're welcome.
Oh, harsh, bro. Why mediocre?
Just kidding.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's going to be a great time. And again, the goal is, did you laugh? Maybe a little chuckle. Maybe a little learn something.
Maybe one of these episodes will make you cry. I doubt it.
That's the inspiration from Titanic. Makes me cry every time.
The Ale Academy, as it was last season, and we roll into this season, and we're very grateful for it, is brought to you by the Micro Beer Beer of the Month Club.
Mm-hmm.
Excited to get the next shipment in so we can showcase those beers in itself. I actually got to meet up with Living the Dream at the beer fest that we did.
Mile High Beer Fest.
It's fun to chat with them about that. Make sure to check them out. Use the link in the description and get your order in. It's a great gift for people that love beer. It's a great way to experience new beer, and they drink a lot of bad beer, so you don't have to.
That's right.
So there you go. Right. Check them out. It's in there.
We also included a useful link to the Beverage Buddy. So we're talking about our villains right here in the segment. You've got temperature, you got light, you got oxidation. You should have some koozies around if you've been to enough festivals. If you don't, try and find your favorite koozie or buy some online or get one for free at your next favorite spot.
Yeah. Or check out this sucker.
Yeah, and check out the Beverage Buddy. It helps with that oxidation effect, keeping that air out best that it can. Don't let things die on the vine. Yep. Don't let a beer sit there for 20, 30, 40 minutes.
It goes
right?
quick.
Unless it's the mint kind of beer. But like if it's a lager, no, it's just gonna die on the vine.
Yeah.
So use one of these guys. I think the link is in the description as well.
Yeah. So
and that'll help keep the air out.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting nicer out. You want to be out on patios, keep that beer fresh. Mm-hmm. The other thing I think it does that they don't showcase as one of their selling points is if you're a bee lover, it also helps keep the bees out of your beer.
Didn't even think about that.
No more drowning beers. Oh, wait, bees in your beers. Because of this. It's
kind of like if your friend's vomiting and you got to give CPR, you got swoop that bee out of the beer.
Bringing it back, guys. We watched a fly die in the beer during the recording. Yeah. So this
was the baby fly.
This would have helped.
It was deal with it. Confused about spring not being spring quite yet.
Truth. All of us are. We want it, but it's not there yet.
It's so close. It's so close. We got a what did they call it? A squall today, a winter squall.
Yeah.
Which is fancy terms for blizzard. We had a bit of a blizzard
tiny
today.
Blizzard. After we were outside yesterday playing cornhole, we had a tiny blizzard. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Can't wait to hear your feedback. And on that note, let's get buggying into the brew news.
Oh yeah.
Brew news. Brewers shirts. Just saying.
They're pretty awesome. Check them out.
Awesome.
I'll let you take it.
All right. We're discussing numbers. I know. Weird. Usually that would be like, I don't know, like accounting. But we're going to go with the brew news. We're going to give numbers on how much ass NA options.
Oh, yeah.
Kicked ass this year. Because they kicked a lot of asses. Kind of crazy. We're also going to discuss a collaboration brew that's going to really start taking flight. And on top of that, make your landing even better when you're traveling to a new city.
So starting it off from Axios.com, according to the NIQ, Nick, however you want to say that, which tracks buying behavior, and in this particular, it came in my email, grocery, drug, and mass retailers. The non-alcoholic sales, these numbers were fantastic. The non-alcoholic sales in Colorado had a 393.2% 7% increase in sales from 2020 to 2024.
Wild.
Which is going from selling $145,000 worth of product in 2020 to $720,000 in 2024.
In just Colorado.
Nationally, you want to take it that far, NA sales are up 216%. Not quite ratio, your 394, but yeah, close. Yeah. So they went from 13.5 million in sales from 2020 to 42.7 million in sales in 2024.
That's wild.
Oh my God. If we didn't say it enough in episodes, I think it's like 9 through 13. We talked about it quite a bit. Yeah. Like those numbers drastically prove everything about how everybody got into the game. They're like, oh my gosh, we have to offer an NA option. Yeah. We just have to. And guess what? It's going to sell. So that is really the key. Listening to your customer base, right? Yep. Like people really, really did that. Businesses really, really did that. Excuse me. Woohoo! Almonds in Lagunitas hot water. Maybe a Hefeweizen.
Maybe a bit of Hefeweizen.
Let's see.
Burpeweizen.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's not just dry January, right? Like it's also that damp January challenge. So breweries from small to large jumping on board this year really helped showcase that craft industry's understanding of the customer, like I kind of just said. So we know a lot of effort, and Amanda's going to get into that, went into getting the NAs out, right? Yep. This is a whole new science, a whole new innovation. And again, if you're monitoring quality in something like a sensory program, being able to go, okay, this is the product from start to finish, and making sure that is a good product. I mean, how fun is kind of like us going, we're going to take a break, but we're not going to take a break. Yeah. And then we whip out this amazing new season 2, which of course we hope you like. Thank you. A little pat on the back. I think this is last. Nope. A couple more things. If you don't know who Gallup is, they go around and take a bunch of surveys. Link will be in the description below. So they stated that 62% of adults under 35 are drinking alcohol, which is down 10% from 20 years ago. Not as drastic of an increase of, say, 290% in sales, but further proving that the market says, hey, I don't want to drink as much, but I want to go out. Yeah. And I want these options available to me. Maybe I'm a hophead. Maybe I just like the flavor of beer, but I don't like the hangover that it gives me, which is one of the reasons why people are drinking less. Sure. Consider it a self-love for a more day-to-day focus, less anxiety, more exercise, lack of hangovers, better sleeping habits. These are the things that can come with a more dry and damp approach rather than fully immersed into the wet world of maybe getting one or two binge drinking. Thank you. Yeah. That's a thank you. Yeah. I was going to make some silly little metaphor. Shocker. And a little long-winded, a little dramatic. That's all right. Lastly, I'll leave you with a report from Google Trends, which says that the search term for dry February is up 30% this month. Okay. Interesting. Sense. Yeah. Yep. Probably not a common term, right?
Probably because we talked about it.
I think it was totally us. Probably because but a lot of people saying that they're going to extend the monthly challenge over the course of the year, which is super duper cool. Love hearing that.
The to not totally take away from our brew news right now, your trash panda looks like it's like screaming to get out of your sweatshirt. Yeah, it's like all I can see right now is it's like
I'll leave him like that.
It's trying to escape from your bosom.
This is Ignacio, the trash panda.
I was like, I feel like I keep looking at your chest, and it's because of the trash panda trying
Ignacio.
to escape from your zip-up hoodie. Like what a cool thing. I love seeing numbers like this come up. We love seeing different, not only sectors of the industry growing and advancing, but also seeing breweries being willing to innovate, take that next step, and kind of lean into it. Those are the ones they're going to survive. You got to lean into the trends. You don't have to like completely be absorbed by them, but leaning into them is an important aspect. So talk about taking the beers to the skies. Are you dancing?
I was leaning in.
Oh. We've got a new beer coming out, new collaboration, and it really fits in with this being a little bit more unique, trying to figure out where there's collaborations available. You know, we all know that the craft beer industry is, we can call it plateauing. I don't necessarily think it's like dying, but it's not growing as much. So breweries are looking for innovative ways to keep being innovative and growing and honestly keeping open, right? And so they're Seattle-based Fremont Brewing, which I don't know if you have had any of their stouts, but they're fantastic. We have some upstairs.
Yeah.
If you haven't, they also do like little wax on top. It's lovely. It's nice, very fancy bottles. You probably had some, but we have some upstairs. They're great.
Guess what I'm doing later.
But instead of just focusing on stouts, they decided to partner with Alaskan Airlines to offer the Cloud Cruiser, which honestly is a great name. I do enjoy that name.
Oh yeah.
Fremont, I guess, is kind of known for their small batch artisan beers. There it is. In the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle, using honestly the best local ingredients that they can get their hands on, and they work closely with Alaskan to produce a variety of blends to taste test 30,000 feet in the air before both companies chose the bright orange melon and tropical notes of the brewery's IPA.
It's an IPA. I was surprised it was an IPA. I was like, it's going to be a lager. It's the year of the lager.
Yeah, it was. I thought what was cool is like the amount of testing they did. Like they cared enough to be like, how does this change at elevation? Like it makes me wonder how many breweries had gone to airlines and been like, hey, get our beers on. And they're like, no, like it doesn't like
they die up there.
Yeah, or something. You know, it made me think of like, I wonder what it was. So they decided to make some adjustments. I want to try it in the air and I want to try it on ground.
But it's a Cloud Cruiser.
I'm just saying, does it taste different?
So they only offer it in the airplane.
No, Fremont. Hook us up. I want to try this in the air. I want to try it on the ground and know if it's different.
That's fair.
Right? It could be interesting and fun. Cloud Cruiser is available complimentary to first class and premium class passengers. Also available for purchase in the main cabin. You can't get this one of a kind West Coast IPA unless you're flying, allegedly. Come on, Fremont. See. Come on, Fremont.
Wink, wink.
But yeah, I don't fly Alaskan often, but this will behoove
totally
me.
Going to now.
Beer me to do it anymore.
Beer.
Would be really excited if I do fly Alaskan. This will 100% will be the first beverage that I get on. I can't wait to have an opportunity to try it at some point. Hopefully, it's delicious. I'm kind of into it. I love the logo. The logo is beautiful. It has a very national parks vibe to it.
It's very Washington.
In Alaskan. I guess it's national parks.
In Alaska. Yeah.
National parks.
Yeah.
It's kind of what they got going on. Not
it's
bad.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
I have a couple of those hanging in my house.
Yeah. Just doesn't usually have an airplane in the middle of it. No, same. It's super cool collaboration. Really the point of why I want to bring up this story is, as we've always talked about, be innovative. Look for creative ways to help boost your brewery. You never know. Like you can really get some really cool creative stuff on there that might be a hit that you just didn't know was going to be a hit. So I love it.
Don't know until you ask, and don't know until you do.
Don't know till you know. So there you go. This one's taken a craft beer to new heights.
Literally.
Quite literally. So Brew News was fantastic. Great articles. We're gonna get into, honestly, like I was really excited about the Ale Academies, but I might be more excited about this interview. Yes. The interviews have just been so much fun, and it's a great way for us to get back into the community and talking with people that we know and we care about and getting to know them better. And what an incredible interview this was to hear more about this woman's story, how she got into the space, how she carved out like an entire niche for herself, kind of almost in an industry, and gives incredible tips that if you're a smaller brewery of how you can start innovating science into your beers more and into your Century program. And it's just, it was just so much fun. Was totally fangirled the whole time and was trying to be cool and not just like, this is so awesome. You're so interesting. You do so much cool stuff. It was great. I had so much fun. So anyways.
You held well.
Thank you. I had to be behind the camera so I didn't have to be important. It was important from behind the scenes.
That's okay. I kind of like asking the questions. It's super fun. Big fun. Fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
This guy did it well. Anyways, so yeah, let's kind of get you in. The Director of Quality is Amanda. You rocked her last name.
Oberbreckling?
Better than
Amanda Oberbreckling. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, you're an incredible human being.
I'm sorry. I'm not even going to attempt. Just not my cup of tea if you've watched other episodes.
That's fair.
Yeah, we're super honored to not only highlight Four Noses in the Park Hill location, but also their sensory program director, their director of quality, Amanda, and we're gonna take you behind the scenes of the science, how they kind of got the whole program started, how she got started. Spoiler alert, she wasn't even trying to get into the space, and like it's just great. It's just a great story. So let's just get into it. I feel like I'm gonna give up too much stuff because I'm just so excited about it.
All right, we hope you enjoy. Once again, thank you, Amanda. This is super awesome. It's nice to meet you. So introduce yourself. Tell us what you do in the craft beer space.
Yeah, so I'm Amanda. I've been in the beer industry for about 8.5 years now. I am the Director of Quality Control here at Four Noses. And I run the quality program for Four Noses, Odd 13, and Wild Provisions, which are all of our brands.
Very cool. Very cool. Can you share with us then your journey into the craft beer industry? What inspired you to become the Director of Quality at Four Noses?
This is not a path that I ever thought I would be
No?
on. Since the time I was like 8, I was like, I'm going to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Wow.
This is my goal in life.
Yeah.
I had a big family history. My dad's had a bunch of shoulder surgeries. I was a dancer growing up, so I had a bunch of hip surgeries. Did a lot of physical therapy. So I was like, this is, I think, what I want to do with my life.
Okay.
So I was pre-med in college, got my degree in biochemistry. When I was my first year out of school, I decided to work at an orthopedic office just to, get some inspiration and some experience to apply to medical school. And after being there for a little while, I was like, this isn't what I thought it was. This isn't my jam.
Okay.
Just not the right life path for me.
Okay.
And I didn't really know what to do because, like I said, I wanted to do that since I was 8.
Yeah.
So I was kind of tripping around for a while, and I think it was my mom and dad who were like, well, you like beer. I went to School of Mines in Golden, so
awesome.
Course is right in the backyard.
Yeah,
We spent a lot of time there in college. My senior year of college was when a lot of the craft breweries up there were opening up, like Cannonball, Mountain Toad.
Sure.
So I've just always enjoyed it, and I like the science and the chemistry behind it.
Oh my God.
And it's basically just biochemistry. So they were like, you're pretty well suited for that.
Just biochemistry.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So I was like, yeah, I'm going to become a brewer. That seems awesome. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So I basically just started cold calling breweries in the area and said, hey, I want to get into this. I don't really know how.
Yeah.
Can I volunteer?
Yeah.
Where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really great professor in college who was part owner in a brewery, and he gave me the great advice of like, start wherever you can. It's a hard industry to get into, especially if you have no experience.
Right.
So like coming out of engineering school, you're probably going to want this, fancy engineering job or fancy scientist job, but just start where you can, and you'll get where you're supposed to be. And that was the best advice I could have gotten.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I got an email back from Odd 13. The head brewer at the time there, Eric Larkin, who owns Cohesion, he followed a very similar path to what I did.
Okay.
And so I think he kind of felt a kinship.
Sure.
And so he was like, sure, we'll do an interview. So I started working there in packaging. And still my goal was to become a brewer. So I worked in packaging, and then I worked in cellar, and then I did become a brewer. Yeah. And after I'd been brewing for about a year, we had a really bad wild yeast contamination. It was causing cans to explode. It was not great.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, Amanda, you know science. You do biochemistry, right?
Science person. Science.
Here's a budget. Do something. Figure out why this is happening.
Wow.
Make it stop.
Wow.
And make sure it never happens again. So I kind of stumbled into the beer science.
Sure.
At that point, breweries this size, smaller than Avery, New Belgium, didn't really have labs.
Sure.
Because it's costly to get into. It's an investment.
Yeah.
So I built up the quality program in the lab at Odd 13. And then I left Odd 13 in January of 2020 to basically come do the same thing at Four Noses.
Wow.
I moved over to Four Noses just because I was always in love with the beer. My husband and I have always lived right down the street. So we came, I think, like the first month we opened.
Sure.
And I just love the innovation and the variety. We were just about to open Wild Provisions.
Right.
So I made the leap over, and then a year or so later, we acquired Odd 13.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's great full circle.
No kidding.
But over the last 4 years, I've kind of built this program from just very basic contamination testing
Sure.
all the way up to what we have here. And we just
Very
moved
cool.
into this facility in October.
Right.
So we have this new beautiful lab and sensory room
Awesome.
that I got to design, and it's now my home.
Oh my God, that's such a good origin
yeah.
story. I love that. I think it's a great transition. Walk us through then the science behind your program.
Absolutely.
How does it ensure the quality of the beer?
Awesome. Yeah,
That's what
I'll
we
start
really wanna hit
over
on.
here because
Yeah.
this is kind of where I start my day-to-day usually.
Okay.
So I would say this part of the lab is what I would call the micro side.
Sure.
So this is where we're doing microbiology primarily to make sure there's no contaminants in the beer. And mostly what we do is genetic testing called PCR. A lot of people learned what PCR was during COVID because that's how they were determining if you had COVID. But basically, our PCR machine, which is right over here, is looking for beer-specific spoilers. So
Okay.
things like lactobacillus and pediococcus, different types of Brett, and then the diastaticus, which
Sure.
is the beer exploding
Yep.
yeast.
Yep.
So we're taking samples during fermentation, and then once products are packaged, we hold them here and we test them before we either move on to dry hop or fruiting, or before we send them out to
Sure.
our distributors, just to make sure that everything's clear of contamination.
Sure.
We also do some plating, like on the little Petri dishes. That way we can just kind of differentiate our yeast, look at any other potential spoilers. It's just another way to like screen and cast a wide net for everything.
Sure.
Pictures of it.
So this is a plate that's showing not necessarily anything bad. This is one of our yeast strains.
Okay.
So this is something that should be in the beer. But if there was a different yeast, like this one versus this one look different,
Yeah.
that's showing two different yeasts in there. So we can tell, like, if we are making a lager and we put it on here, I can see what the lager versus the ale yeast look like, and I can
Sure.
determine like if they got
cross-contaminated
in any way.
Sure.
There's different media for different things,
Sure.
kind of to screen the process. So this side is more of our chemical side. This is where we're starting to build out now that we've got the micro pretty well established.
Sure.
What we can do over here is cell counting. So we can test cell counts during fermentation and once we harvest yeast, just to make sure that they have enough to be pitched into another beer.
Sure.
We can also do UV vis spectrophotometry. We can look at water chemistry. We can look at IBUs. We can
Oh
look
my
at
God.
diacetyl, which we
Sure.
check mostly for our lagers.
Sure.
And then this is just an autoclave, so we sterilize everything mostly for our micro side.
Sure. That all makes sense. How cool. Super cool. All
Yeah,
right.
and then this
Travel?
is our sensory
Okay.
side. So what's really cool about this is we built it out so that we can do blind tasting. So sensory panelists come in, I tell them which door to go to. I prep their samples here, and then I send them through.
That's why he's yelling at me.
Yeah.
Got it.
Is that like your favorite part when you designed the room?
Yes.
I feel like I would have been
Yeah.
like secretive, like I love these tiny doors.
Oh yeah, I was so excited about it. And we have these little trays that we use to pass all the
Sure.
samples
Yeah.
through. It's
You
really
ever put in like French fries? and
Oh
you're
my
like,
gosh, I should.
So we'd be like, woohoo, best day of sensory ever.
Yep.
Yeah. They get snacks afterwards and they're very excited about like all the hot Cheetos and stuff.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Yeah, they like the spicy packs, like hot Funyuns, anything I can find that's spicy, they're into. But yeah, so sensory side, we have all of our back of house staff trained on sensory.
Okay.
So on an average week, we have between 20 and 25 people coming to sensory panel. And they're pretty much tasting the beers that were packaged the week before. And they're kind of determining if they're okay to send out. And then based on the beer, if it's a core beer, they're trying to decide how true to brand it is. So like if it's about damn time, they're saying on a scale of 1 to 10, how true to the overall brand is it?
Sure.
And if it's a new beer, they're basically creating a brand description for it. They're describing it. And then once the beer goes through panel 5 times, we have enough data to build a description. And then that one moves over to true to brand.
my
I'll also throw like old beer on so we can check shelf life, stuff like that. So that's the reason we like to have it behind these doors, so that they don't know, you know, if it's an old About Dan time or if it's something, if I'm tricking them in any way.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, not in this fun room, but front of house, every one of the 4 tap rooms, all of the bartenders are trained on sensory. And they do about 2 to 3 draft lines per shift.
Okay.
So we get a ton of data from that, especially on like shelf life and aging. And they're really good. They're like the first line of defense. If a keg's oxidized or if a beer isn't tasting right, they'll send out a message and that kind of alerts us and we can fix the problem. Which is awesome.
Oh my gosh, like, so when you're like, of course, like, smaller breweries wouldn't do it because it's more expensive, right? I'm like, oh, sure, like, from a very basic level, I get that. And just knowing what we know going through the Cicerone training, and I'm like, this is so great. Like, how do you get quality, right? I mean, the meaning is in the name, but this is how you make sure things are consistent, and especially if they're flagship, or you can catch it in the back, or your first line of defense, right? Or things are going wrong on the tap line. Did somebody forget to clean something, or what went wrong, right?
Yeah, and that's
I love that so much, right? Like, that's how you stay on top, and that is how you go, and that is so cool.
Yeah, and really, like, there is equipment that, of course, you need to invest in, but I've always been taught, and I've always been a big proponent that, like, just having a quality mindset doesn't cost anything. And it's something that a lot of smaller breweries can start with. Like, tracking data, having all of that so that you can go back. I would say probably 75% of what I do is just managing or analyzing data in some way. And that's what's cool about sensory is, like, it is helpful to train on off flavors, and, you know, buying a kit can be expensive. But you can also make up a lot of those off flavors with stuff you can find at the grocery store. So sensory, and if you're just tasting your beers to make sure that they are good to go, sensory is pretty much free. And it gives us as much, if not more, data than anywhere else in the brewery.
Is there any, and we kind of asked you this, but are there any particular beer styles that are maybe more difficult than others to experiment with?
I would say, in terms of making beer, I think lagers are probably the most difficult. Just because there's nothing there to hide. Bye. So you have to be really good to make good lagers, because, you know, there's not that it's not hard to make a good IPA or a good fruited sour, but there's other flavors that are coming up there. But for lagers, there's nothing there. So it's what you're doing, how you're building the grain, how you're doing the water profile, your yeast strain, how you manage that. I think if a brewery can make a really good lager, then you know they're really good brewers.
So that's the basics, right? That's the foundation of anything else you're going to do.
Yeah. And then other than that, I think fruited beers are personally my favorite to play with, just because every single one of them is different. So we have to do dosing trials. We have to taste through different rates to see what we like. So for example, we have a fruited citrus IPA that's coming out in a couple weeks, and then we have a fruited West Coast Pale Ale that's coming out for Women's Day. And we had to decide what fruit and how much we wanted to put in them this week. So we got to dose them and taste them, and it's fun to just play with. And every time it's different. So you could use the same fruit 3 different times, but based on the beer or what other fruits in there, it'll be different.
Or what form it came in.
Puree versus juice versus concentrate, all of that.
Wow, that's super cool. What about more exciting? That would be the fruit then?
I would say that would be more exciting,
Okay.
For sure.
That makes sense to me. So what is then, like, the most rewarding about running the sensory program, and any tips that you want to give another brewery outside of those, maybe like starting small, some items that you can grab from the store, to start maybe implementing some best practices on their own?
I think the most rewarding part is just seeing everyone develop their confidence in sensory. That's really fun, especially when we have people who have never really been in the brewing industry before. And they come in and they start working here and they go through sensory training and they're really intimidated and they're like, I've never done this. And I said, well, you drink beer, right? Like, that's how you start. Just start by drinking beer and maybe think about it a little bit more. than you normally would if you're like having a beer at a bar with your friends.
Sure.
And I think it's really cool to teach, like it's that perfect combination of, for me, like the anatomy and the science that I grew up loving and am interested in, and then this beer science, and it truly is the only way for us to mimic or to learn what it's going to be like for a customer to drink a beer.
Sure.
Like we have so many instruments that can tell us IBUs, ABVs, the yeast, but like you can't combine that to what it's going to be like when someone's sitting at the bar.
Sure.
So I think just putting all of our beers through sensory and seeing people be like, oh, I got this off flavor in this, or oh, this batch is really awesome, I'm really proud of what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Very cool.
And I guess,
such a great
second
answer.
part of that question, what people can do besides getting, easy ingredients to start is just try everything.
Yeah.
When I'm doing sensory training, we tell people, like, next time you're at the grocery store, buy a fruit you've never had, or pick up a spice off the shelf that you've never tried, and just look at it and explore all of it. Like maybe you've never really looked at like a mandarin orange or a tangelo or a dragon fruit. Or you don't know what coriander is, stuff like that. Like starting in easy, approachable ways just to expand your knowledge.
I love that.
Because experience is, I say it's more brain power than nose power.
Okay.
Because you can smell so many things, but you may not know what you're smelling.
Right.
So you need to make those connections.
Sure.
And the more you experience, whether that's different breweries, different beers, different spirits, or fruit, vegetables, that sort of stuff, that helps you build that whole world.
Wow. Absolutely. That is amazing advice. I love that so much. We're kind of already here, but as a woman in the field that's traditionally male dominated, what changes have you seen in terms of diversity and representation in the craft beer industry?
I think it's becoming more approachable for women to come into this industry.
I'd agree.
It's fun to look around and see in production that we have not quite 50-50, but we're getting close.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, just walking in.
I've been very fortunate that like when I worked at Odd 13, it was about 50-50 women in production to men. Okay. So I've been pretty fortunate that haven't had to deal with some of the issues that other women have in terms of the workplace. I've always felt very supported, both at Odd 13 and here. But it was a boys' club for a while, and I think just social media and people seeing other people working in the industry has really helped this newer, younger generation of brewing industry people just feel less intimidated to come in.
Sure. I think, and a lot of programs too, right? Not just social media. I think that's a good spot to jump to that. So groups and or organizations that you're part of that maybe other women could join for inspiration, guidance, support, outside of jumping right in, outside of just social media, outside of cold calling. Like what has been developed that they could get into? Yeah,
I think from a more technical side, the Master Brewers Association of the Americas is really awesome, especially in our Rocky Mountain district. Okay. It's a very wonderful community. It's more focused on like the technical side of brewing, like ingredients, the processes, that sort of stuff. But they're a really awesome resource. I'm also a little biased because I'm on the board. Okay. But it's a great group. There's a lot of really good networking and a lot of education that comes with that. Okay. For example, we have a meeting in a couple weeks, and I'm doing a presentation with some of our board members about how to grow a lab and a quality program. Okay. So a lot of education there, a lot of excellent contacts for like, hey, can you help me with this thing? Or do you know someone at this brewery? I'd really like to, put my name in, that sort of stuff. Along those same lines also is the American Society of Brewing Chemists. Okay. That was an excellent support for me from the technical side because there weren't a lot of breweries doing what we were doing to start. And even still, they're making sure that what we're doing is accurate and validated, and it's a great way to pick other scientific minds in the industry.
Love it. I love it. I would have been like, so if I was specifically looking for science, is that where I would go? But I feel like you nailed it on the head there.
Absolutely.
And I think it goes without saying, don't forget to just get out there and say hi and
Yeah.
get to a new brewery or
Yeah.
wherever, even probably at your favorite liquor store, right? A lot of those people, is it cool if we go up here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, it's a great community, and I always find that people are so welcoming and so eager to share their knowledge.
They really are. The brewing industry is one of the only industries I've ever seen where people will share recipes. They'll share, you know, anything. And it's really fascinating. It's very collaborative. And it is kind of a pretty small community. Even though there's a ton of breweries in Colorado, a lot of people, you know, move around between breweries, and everyone really wants to support each other. And I think that's really awesome. It's cool to see there's a lot of women in science in the brewing industry in our area. Two people that are always so helpful to me are Nicole Balistreri. She was at Inland Island, and she's moving to Prost to manage their yeast. So she's always been so helpful with yeast prop and any questions I have. And then Shay Holdaway up at Upslope, she's the lab manager there. And she has given me so much information on how to build out a lab, because their lab is, you know, wonderful. And we just got the same new PCR system as them, so she's like, come up anytime and I'll help you with whatever you need. So just having that group of women that can support each other and answer questions and all of that.
I love that. What about a most influential female then in your life, beer or not beer related? That's influenced you?
I would say probably my mom.
Awesome.
I know that's probably like a little bit of a tacky answer, but
it's gotta be the mom.
It's always my mom. My mom and I are best friends, and
Awesome.
she's just the most wonderful, kindest, welcoming, supportive woman. And it's been really fun in the last few years to see her. She's retired, and it's been fun to see her really like find her passion and kind of go head first into it and not be scared of, you know, am I going to be successful? What do other people think of it? And she's very open about, you know, her journey, and she loves to bring her family and loved ones along on her journey with her.
Oh my gosh.
And that kind of encourages me to do the same.
Sure.
And she doesn't really like beer, but she's always so supportive, and she'll always try a little sip of everything, and loves to brag about like when I make beers, like when it's my recipe, or whenever we come in, she points out the lab and says, that's my daughter's chemistry lab.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Is she more of a wine drinker? Does she drink
She's
it all?
not really much of a drinker, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. Are you an only child?
No, I have a younger sister.
You do have a younger sister. Awesome. Very cool. Do you have a favorite brewery story? Could be anything. In the lab, back here, wherever.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite brewery stories actually was kind of recently. It was when we came into this space. So we had a lease on this space for almost 2 years before we were able to do anything. And we finally got, you know, we were working on construction, but we finally got approval to open the tap room. And we got that on a Wednesday. And we said, we're going to try to open the tap room on Friday.
Oh my gosh.
So it was kind of like, everyone stop what you're doing. We weren't brewing at the time because we were moving everything. So it was like, everyone stop what you're doing. We got to get this tap room ready. So it was like building tables, building chairs, hanging light fixtures and posters and cleaning and installing the tap handles. And it was just so fun because we're not always all in the same place at the same time. And so it was fun to just have everyone together, like eating pizza and jamming out to music and like setting this place up. And by Friday afternoon, we were all just like so dead. But we like all took a beer shot to celebrate. And we were like, we did this. It was 2 years in the making.
That's awesome.
And now we're here.
And
so it was just like such a positive start to being in this space that it's a good memory.
It's like sports. I love sports metaphors. It's like everybody gets to go on the field and you finally get to play together. I love that so
and
much.
just being here is awesome because we're all together and we just love it. We're very proud of what we've built here.
You very much should be. And between all 4 locations, right? Like,
it's busy, but we all love it.
What a wonderful experience. Full box this way, this one, that one. Very cool.
We can go in one way and out the other way, I think.
Sounds good.
As long as it's not blocked.
Yes.
Yeah, we can Actually, we'll just stay in this way.
So this is where all the hard work comes to fruition.
Yes.
It gets to go out the door. You're like, I can easily and happily and proudly say that's how it should taste.
Yep.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So it all hangs out here until I pass it on QA. So we've got a back stock. We have pickups like once or twice a week. So it's Friday, so we're ready to go first thing Monday morning. But yeah, the beer's sleeping back here till it's ready to sell.
Bonus question, what's the timeline then once it gets into the can and you approve it? Does that happen within the week, within the day?
We have a 2-day quality hold.
Okay.
And that's mostly because the way our system runs, we have to do some enrichment to encourage any contamination growth.
Sure.
And so we don't want to send it out without knowing that.
Yep.
So we hold it for 2 days until we clear it, and then once it's cleared, it either goes out on a truck that same day or on the next pickup.
Sure.
So we never put anything out before it gets the Amanda seal of approval.
Do you have your actual stamp? That says
No,
Amanda?
I wish I
You
did. I
should.
should.
That'd be a great Christmas
It's just
present.
like I send it out on Slack, but it would be fun to just be like, good to go. Like I could come back here and just like,
It's like your logo, your brand.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, last question. Looking towards the future, are there any new trends or technologies you're excited to explore within or outside of the sensory and science of beer?
I think just continuing to see the evolution of beer.
Yeah.
We know that it's a really changing market, and we know that, you know, this product that we have will always be popular in a sense, but we don't know what's coming next. You know, there's been a lot of play in the non-alcoholic field, in other areas besides beer, and we love to explore and we love to experiment, so we've dipped our toes into that a little bit. We came out with this hop water for dry January.
It was delicious.
So it's just a seltzer that's infused with hops.
Yep.
And that was quite an undertaking for us because the rules are so different when there's no alcohol.
Sure.
And it was something fun to play with, especially from the science and the quality side. It's a new challenge that I had to tackle that I had never gotten to explore.
Sure.
So exploring things like that, just different beverages and how we can grow all three of our brands while continuing to make all of this beer.
Sure.
And play around and have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, what else do we have, right?
Yeah.
Have fun, first and foremost.
It's a really good time.
Awesome. Well, I know we're very much looking forward to the future, especially for Four Noses. I was so excited when Waterproof came out, and I was like, yay! And of course they are. I told you I did the dry January.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of the different NAs that were coming out. And that alone, right, how cool that it had been coming up through the last few years. And then this year, there's like everywhere.
Yeah, and they're getting good. Like I've
So
had
excited.
quite a few that actually taste
They're
like beer
pretty-
now,
pretty
which
good.
is exciting.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Compared to last year, they've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a lot of research and effort put into that area. So I think it'll be
Very
cool to see what comes out in the next few years.
Awesome. Well, like I said, we're really looking for it. Thank you again.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for taking the time. This is so cool.
Oh my God. What an amazing interview. Had so much fun with that one with Amanda and the crew at the Park Hill location of the Four Noses Brewing operations. Quite the journey for them to get the facility open over the last couple of years and to implement and prioritize the sensory program and the quality. It's so cool. I loved going from start to finish and learning about the science behind the beer. Very cool, very educational. Can't wait to hear more about it because I'm sure I missed something. Probably have to watch it again myself.
But such a good time. I loved how you set up the whole interview, right? Like we start with like the beer and then we finish with it is passed. We have passed all of the tests and we've started with the beginning and end with the cooler of distribution. That's great. And it's just such a beautiful location. They've done such a good job. And I feel like most people that enjoy the beers there appreciate the quality. And this is why, like Amanda's literally like a huge reason of why the quality is there. So
yeah, that level of care does not go unnoticed.
Agreed.
Big fan, and thank you so much again for sharing the journey and educating us about the science behind beer. So very cool. So very excited. What a great time.
Thank you.
Can't wait to go back.
I mean, it's hard to top that interview, but let's attempt
the show must go on.
Yeah, attempt to watch me give you some fun facts here. I'm stuck on my own cord.
Umbilical cord.
Umbilical cord.
I don't know what that means.
Switching the fun facts up a little bit, not drastically, but trying to be able to hit more information, not have to stammer over it. So we're going to drop in videos that I've been recording throughout the week of stuff that I found fun. This month specific, as no surprise, we're going to focus on women in beer because fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. So really excited about all these fun facts. Hope you enjoy them below. And Sam, let's take us away. Just wash us right into those fun facts here. So as part of International Women's History Day, we're going to give it a whole month because why the heck not? We're going to really focus on breweries and women within the brewing space. This whole visual stereotype of witches, they were actually brewsters, right? We talked before that like brewsters is a female version of a brewer. So the big pointy hats was you'd see them in a crowd, right? They'd point out, they'd stick out. They had the big cauldrons, which is actually beer. They'd put the brew in front of their businesses or their homes, and that would show that they had beer like ready and available. And then basically when witches started getting killed for being witches because they knew things about herbs and spices and how to manipulate your mind, women kind of dumped out of the brewing space. Obviously it didn't happen like immediately because this was like a really common part of the women's like daily routine as like a household chore is to make this very calorie dense liquid for the whole family. But I love this whole concept that is the everyday witches that we see every Halloween with the pointy hats. Like it was just women out walking around selling some beer. Thomas Jefferson is given credit as like the founding home brewer. But actually, the credit should be given to his wife because she was the one there actually supervising and managing the one that was doing all the brewing. Do you know who the first person was to put hops in beer? It was a woman. Her name is Hildegard of Bingen. She's a Catholic saint. She was an avid brewer. She was one of the first people to ever write down their musical notions. She's wrote hundreds of hymns for the Catholic Church. And more importantly, for why you're watching this video, she put hops in beers. So, Carol Stout is considered America's first woman brewster in 1978. But unofficially in 1734, Mary Lissel was the first unofficial female brewery owner and brewster after she took over her father's brewery in Philadelphia.
Chelsea, thank you for the fun facts.
Thank
Learned
you.
a lot about Women's History Month.
Yeah.
I appreciate you chiming in there. Short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. Looking forward to more. We've got some more coming up this month.
Yeah, thank you.
Really excited to get more into it.
There's a lot of fun history. I mean, I feel like people just kind of don't think of necessarily women in the brewing space, and that is a mistake.
It is a mistake because
there's a big history there.
as we get through it, you'll see it really kind of began with women, and then at some point it went away.
Yeah.
And now we see more and more women getting back into the space in the back of the house, not just behind the bar, behind the tanks as well, behind the recipes, behind the quality, but behind the sensory.
Yeah.
It's like it's all coming back. It's coming full circle.
Excited
Beautiful.
to
Thank you
see
for that.
where and how beer changes. Ooh. After all those fun facts, I don't know about you guys. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
Now we said we were eating before, but we eat again because I eat a lot of food. Body by beer and food.
Pairing our bodies with food.
Bodies with food. So yeah, welcome to the new kind of mouthfeel, if you want to make a pun in there. Brews N Bites. We started with a local sandwich favorite here, Snarfs. It's delicious, and honestly, we were kind of hungry, and I'm leaving this week, and there's no food in the house, so we decided to order in some Snarfs to give out all of our secrets.
Also, we're kind of like between that time. Is it spring? Is it winter?
Yeah.
I don't want something too heavy. I'm not quite ready for a bunch of salads.
Yeah,
I like comfort food.
Yeah, it's like that
It's a real
middle ground. So, hopefully, if you're in the area, get some Snarfs, pair it up with a delicious beer. If you go with the golden sour ale like we did,
You're gonna see it.
let us know if you got the same notes. Otherwise, There's a little bonus footage in there as well with a dark lager.
Oh,
Um,
giving it away.
Yeah. Otherwise, what other beers have you paired with your favorite Snarf sandwich? We want to know because honestly, we'll probably try it. So let us know. Hit it up in the comments.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Nailed it. All right. What you got over there, Lizzie? What sandwich you eating today?
Hey there. So we went with Snarf's, a local Colorado favorite.
Yeah.
I think they've expanded outside of Colorado, but they are near and dear to many who live here. They're putting up a bunch more locations, which is fantastic.
So, near and dear to our tummies.
Yes, they're so good,
buds.
deliciously toasted, and I went with the turkey and Swiss. It's very popular. Classic turkey Swiss. If you get all the fixins at Snarf's, it's mayo, mustard, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, hot pepper, seasoning, and some oil. And then, like I said, they toast it, perfectly toasted, just a little bit to cut the roof of your mouth, but not too bad, but enough to make you remember it, which is delicious.
Delicious.
All right.
Yeah, I went, as no surprise, with the veggie route. I went artichoke, feta, and provolone.
Definitely want a bite.
Yeah, tomatoes, all the fixings on it as well. Super, super pumped about that. And then today, we decided to pair these Sammies with a beer we talked about a while back, the Back Acre Beer Maker Golden Sour Ale. We went with the sandwich because it's like kind of spring. Like we really want it to be spring, but it's still a little bit of a heavier meal because it is still winter and cold. Ergo, I had to go put a sweatshirt on. I threw in a pickle because I just love a pickle and sandwich. So here is what we're pairing this with today. I'm very, very excited about this beer. Liz is going to get it cracked open. Backacre Beer Maker makes one beer a year, which is really, really cool. They brew it out of beer stem, and they blend it with some of their previous different batches that they've brewed. So it's going to be a golden sour ale, as we discussed. It's been barrel aging for over a year. It's been bottle conditioned exclusively, and it is a mix of multiple blends, and they're expecting to really come up with a earthy, tart, and fruity notes out of it. So we're pretty pumped. The guy we got it from said that when the Westward article came out, it sold super, super quick. Put it in the background. It smells super fruity.
And earthy.
Also immediately making me drool.
Mm-hmm.
A little cheers,
Yum.
because yum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nice and light.
Great fruity undertones, nice and light, great effervescence.
I get the earthy on the kind of the finished flavor on the breathe out of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the more wild fermented type of sours going on in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways,
Earthiness is really subtle. Delicious.
but I feel like it hits like the outside of my tongue a little bit more. The sour also does, but like I'm getting more of that earthy on the back of my tongue versus the tart on the front.
So we wanted to do this, not one because we're really excited about it, we had already talked about it, but also because the sour golden ale is kind of similar to a champagne, which sets us up for success in the pairing world.
Yeah.
The light body, the dryness, the sour, the effervescence. It's just a really nice combination to highlight our food.
Yeah. What highlights are you looking forward to the most? That list you're hoping to get out of your Sammy and beer pairing here.
Right. So I'm expecting with the tangy sourness contrasting with like the savory of the turkey and the creaminess of the cheese. I'm also looking for the acidity to cut that richness as well of the savory, creamy, and even probably like the mayonnaise that's on the sandwich.
Okay.
And then I'm also like lastly looking for that kind of ending balance of complementing the seasonings and the rest of the condiments to kind of just complement the overall meal, right? Like a nice little balance of It kind of cuts, it complements, it contrasts all at once, which is nice with the sour gold. And this one, it obviously it's not obviously, but it isn't too heavy at all. So I'm really excited to get into it.
Yeah, I think the lightness is going to help kind of bring out the spring flavors we're hoping out of the sandwich.
Yep.
The artichoke is what I'm pretty excited for. This little bit of the complementary flavors, a little bit of the tangy from there. Tangy should go really well with the spirit and the earthiness, right? For the contrast, we've got all the different cheeses. You got the mayonnaise, you got the salty. Hoping that'll kind of help, as you're saying, contrast those out a little bit. And then the bread should also help with the complementary. I threw in the pickles. I did everything on it, so I got lots of pickles. I'm going with the sour on sour action.
Yeah, I think it's
which
great.
just goes
Tangy
together
and
well.
sour is so good.
It's just going to keep going together well. So
lastly, also brought in some classic Lay's chips as kind of like an extra like balance if I can kind of want to start over on my flavor experience.
it's a good refresh of the palate.
Yeah, it'll be a little greasy, but that sour is going to come right in and cut it down. So it'll be fun.
Cool. Well, let's dig in.
Let's do it. That's my first bite and sip. Oh, wow. Like the fruity and the earthy undertones are just, with the spicy peppers, are really big on my palate right now.
Okay.
It's really nice.
The first I was getting not as much of the peppers as the artichoke. Getting a lot of that. The tang of the artichoke.
Yeah. Excuse me. I have to eat my sandwich like a lady.
I disagree.
The oregano is really noticeable in the seasoning. The thing about it is, like,
The oregano with this is really good.
really good. It's big. Like, it's making me drool. Like, acid loves acid, and I am just drooling over here. So, sadly, if you're a big lettuce and tomato fan, you don't really notice them. They're really just filler. They make the sandwich look more full. My opinion, of course, somebody may feel a little bit different, but it's really, right now, it's like an Italian factory in my mouth. It's super earthy, super oregano, and maybe there was just a lot of seasoning on that particular bite, but
And the bread in it. Like, I went with the wheat bread.
white, I forgot to say that.
Yeah, graininess of the wheat bread. Because it's like such a kind of a bigger, heavier flavor. This is just cutting it and making it really bright and light. This is fantastic together. It's like a bite, eat kind of thing.
I definitely like, I think it's definitely hitting that complementary or contrasting where the acidity is really cutting the mayonnaise, right? It's not too much.
Yeah, I'm just going to get with a bigger pour here because this is
I like it.
scrumptious. Try the chip. I haven't gotten that chip action yet. I'm getting less of the spicy pepper, but I eat a lot of spicy food, so sometimes I'm a little unsensitive to it.
Fair. Really, what I really like about this is it's just a different way to enjoy food. This is just food porn at its best. Food and beer porn.
In my mouth. Oh, I got pepper on that one.
It's so much fun. Like, sure, like, you eat to eat, you eat to have a conversation or pass the time. And
You're right, the pepper with that is so good. Wow, that was a delicious bite.
well, like, I also, I like to eat to, like, really experience the flavor profiles of each.
I actually think the mayonnaise for me is kind of like bringing it all together. And then the beer is kind of like swishing it away a little bit.
More cutting. Cleansing it a bit. Oh, there's a big bite of onion. We'll see what it does with that.
Wonders. Dig in the feta.
Yeah, the tang on tang is really good. Less exotic as the savory, I'm going to say. More complementary. Where these are kind of contrasting and cutting so much at the same time. Like, I'm getting a lot more individual flavors. Now, I'm not going to sit here and, like, eat your whole sandwich, right? Like, if you ate meat, I would have said, you take half, I'll take half, and then we both. But you get a carnivorous and you get a vegetarian, so it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It really highlights the pepper, though.
So much. Do you have any thoughts on what other beers would pair really well with this?
I think a lager would be great.
Okay.
I think not as exotic, right? Like, this just has so many different flavors coming out. Classic lager.
Pairing sours with food.
Oh, truly my favorite as well.
Yeah. I'm tempted to go grab a dark lager because I think the roasty with this bread would be really fun. And the roasty with the artichokes.
For sure.
You also might laugh because we just got done making a video saying to not necessarily keep your beer in a pint glass out in the sunshine. The exception to that rule
Sours.
is a beer you're going to drink quickly.
Yeah, like, time is of the essence. Like, don't let any good thing die on the vine.
Yeah.
So, did your expectations exceed the results, or
Good question.
or was it complimentary?
I'm going exceeds. It's already a lighter sandwich for as far as sandwiches go, right? And the brightness of the beer and the acidity made it even brighter, which is really what I wanted.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like a somewhat warm day. Didn't want the heaviness, but I'm still like, ooh, bread.
If you don't like bread, good tell.
So it just kept making everything brighter, and I was super into that. I love what it did with the artichokes and the mayonnaise. So just like really popping the artichoke, cutting through the mayonnaise, so like finish up your bite and it's still in there. The mayonnaise is kind of the finishing flavor. Then to just boom, cut that out with the beer.
Yeah. I would say
How
that
about
I agree. I would say it exceeded. The sour ale definitely exceeded my expectations with the sandwich. It really highlighted the savory elements. Excuse me, and the seasoning. I'm with you with it kind of like mellowing out the mayonnaise, but like ending on that creamy note, but then the flavors just kind of cut away.
Yeah.
It made every bite really friggin' enjoyable.
Yeah.
Which is hard when you're hungry not to just
Inhale it.
take it down. But I really enjoy this pairing. Like, man, if it doesn't have to be backache or beer maker. Like, if you can find one, good luck. But just look for a sour golden ale. Those lighter fruit undertones, a little earthy, a little funky, bright, light mouthfeel, good effervescence, and like whatever your favorite sandwich is. You know what I mean? Even if you're not a mayonnaise person, right? If you just like mustard, that tang on the sour is going to be so good. And the mustard isn't super noticeable in here, but I always feel like when you combine, well, it just makes the mayo a little bit more tangy.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree with that.
I didn't, like I said, I didn't super notice the tomato, the lettuce. The onion definitely brought out that earthiness.
Shredded lettuce, I feel like, has minimal flavor.
Yeah, it's just water. It's really just a body filler, right? It makes it fluffy. Although I love shredded lettuce for that, right? Like a Jersey Mike sandwich, I love that because they put so much freaking shredded lettuce.
I do.
Subway too, if you ask for it. But yeah, the seasoning, the earthiness, the oregano in the seasoning, hell yeah. Big, bold Italian factor in my mouth. The savory, the turkey.
Which I think the oregano really pops with the artichoke. So it's like really coming through for me. It's like a ton of oregano.
Yeah, I love their seasoning.
Yeah.
And not too salty, right? Like they held back on that, which I appreciate. Because there's enough salt and, it's still deli meat, so there's going to be salt in there. There's going to be some salt in the bread and the cheese. And so if you like salty, maybe go for a goose. That could be really interesting to highlight it a little bit more.
Fair. Cool. Well, that's all I got. Is that all you got?
Yeah, I'm going to finish shoving this in my face.
Yeah, pretend like I was eating slowly and just keep eating faster. So hopefully you enjoyed this Brews N Bites.
This is it. Our Brews N Bites evolved to the pair.
New Brews N Bites. Enjoy.
What a great segment. Oh my gosh, I'm officially full again after reminiscing about the deliciousness of that carnivorous and vegetarian sandwich option with the sour golden ale.
You know what my favorite part of that
So
segment
good.
was? Eating
It really was.
and drinking.
Like, you got to get in there and listen to the notes that sour golden ale just really elevated these sandwiches. I'm going to be thinking about that one for a long time, for sure.
Yeah.
Or just going right back to the store maybe next week. But the Backacre beer maker isn't going to be easy to find.
Yeah, we
So I might have to go do a different one.
We forgot to highlight that at the very beginning. Was the beer that we chose was such a prestige. We talked about it
Well,
earlier.
now they know.
And last season, right? This brewery makes one beer a year. They just recently moved to Colorado, and it's such a cool backstory. And then we finally found the beer.
Yeah.
And
Paired it with a snarf sandwich.
if you were wondering, Backacre beer maker, it pairs fantastically with the snarf sandwich. So thank you for honestly probably one of the better food pairings we've sat and scarfed down in a while.
And highlighting my afternoon. Oh my gosh.
So good. Yeah, it was great.
It would just
Was it better than kicking my ass in cornhole?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
There
I
we
mean, mostly because I don't usually lose to at cornhole.
Yeah.
So that element of surprise has gone away. We do
deny
hope that maybe you learned a thing or two, or even if it's just like sitting down and taking a moment to really enjoy the flavors that you're experiencing, right? I understand eating to eat because you're hungry, as I just took down a jar of almonds.
Yeah.
But also being able to take the time and maybe not think about each and every single bite, but in enjoying and appreciating the different highlights that your food and your beer do for one another and their pairing. It's a beautiful relationship for sure.
I've said it before, but my favorite meals, whether it's wine or beer, when you get the pairing, that it's just the wine is better with the bite of food, and the bite of food is better with the wine, and it's just like eat, drink, and I just can't get out of the the pattern because they're just so much better together. Those are my favorite, and that's how this was. I couldn't stop. It was delicious.
Better together. That's a great way to say it.
Better together
for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the new way we're doing it. Give us some comments. Let us know.
Love some feedback.
Otherwise, I'm really excited mainly just to hear what their favorite beer is with their snarf sandwiches.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't forget. What's your favorite beer with your favorite sandwich? Favorite sandwich with your favorite beer.
Favorite beer.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Would love to try and talk about it.
Yeah. Brews N Bites is brought to us by. It's yours. I took the last one.
Oh, the Gourmet Cheese of the Month Club.
Yeah. There was cheese on the sandwiches.
Yep. I think, feta, provolone, and Swiss. Gotta have that creamy contrast or complement. Yeah. Click on the link below to check out the Gourmet Cheese of the Month Club. You too can get on your own favorite cheeses of the month as they wheel and deal them in. They've got a whole library and list of cheeses, why they do and why they pair, and all the things. So you should check them out. They're a great monthly subscription to be a part of.
Such a great way to learn. I love that. I love having the notes, and you can run with that. It's just a great time. And with that, we're going to wrap up the Brews N Bites.
Thanks for joining us.
We're going to jump into a segment that I'm super excited about, which is our actual favorite brewery tours.
So far.
But yeah, I mean, we're getting into the season. We talked about the importance of brewery tours. We talked about how people can start charging for them. And so we wanted to highlight, the years of brewery tours we've been on. We're just so excited. We wanted to hit on the ones that we like the most. As I bramble on there. But basically, the summary is, these are our favorite beer tours we've been on. We've gone on a lot together. We've gone on a lot not together. And this is the list that we came up with of our favorite ones over the couple of years, the 15 years of our friendship.
Long time.
So hit us off.
I'm going to hit us up with number 10.
Number 10.
And it's going to be the Coors Tour. We are in wonderful, beautiful Colorado. The Coors facility is in beautiful Golden, Colorado. Oh my gosh. When we were first making this list, it didn't make my list. And I don't know how it didn't make my list. But Chelsea was good enough to bring it back up. How could I forget it? This one was on my list of 30 things I'd never done in 3 days for my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
How much fun is that?
It was exhausting.
You're welcome. You can take that idea.
Yeah.
It was exhausting, but it was an incredibly good time.
It was.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's just
something I've never done before.
Never seen a brewery that size.
No.
It was free at the time. I don't think it's free anymore.
I don't even know if they give you beers anymore.
I think they do, but I think they charge. But they definitely like hit you up with a decent amount of beer. And just seeing like the old cans, seeing a brewery that's been around for so long, you had the Prohibition story. You've got tears from everything they've fought through. The brands, I think that was a big thing. If I'm remembering correctly, it was how many brands I didn't realize were out of Coors.
Under the Coors umbrella.
Yeah, so it was just really cool. So I think as most of these are going to hit, like our experience and why we care about it is going to be because we had a special experience with it. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm going to take it into number 9. And one of my favorite breweries in the world easily is Avery. Mm-hmm. I've known people at Avery, so I've been able to actually like hit the ground floor, do some tours with them. But even if you don't have those connections, what's so cool about it is they have the catwalk.
Self-guided.
Like, but they don't necessarily have like the stopping points and tell you what's about. I kind of wish they did. That'd be really cool. But you get to actually like walk over all of the brewing facility, all of the new location.
Yeah.
They have a bar at the other end of it that has a limited like draft line. It's not always open, just on busier times. Mm-hmm. But outside of going into these huge breweries like Coors, it's definitely up there. It's one of the bigger ones in Colorado for sure. And so to see that type of scale and see the canning lines and kind of get this other like bird's eye perspective, to me is what really hits off. Like what's really cool is you grab a beer, waiting for your food, if even then you go stroll, walk around. And
they have an amazing food lineup as well. So you can get out there, get on the catwalk, read about the history, wait for that food. They also have a really good merch area.
Yeah, they crush the merch area. Lots of great beer selection. It's just cool.
Another
experience.
Colorado classic. Yeah, gotta
classic.
do it. If you're in town, gotta go.
Would recommend.
Coming in at number 8, we have to head to the mountains, and we're going to Casey Brewing. If you have not been, definitely recommend. Yeah. We were actually on our way back from Aspen. We went and saw Xavier Rudd at the Belly Up.
One of my favorites.
Stayed at one of Kevin's friends' houses.
Yeah.
And so we're on our way back that next day. And when you're in the Colorado mountains, you must stop at the Colorado Mountain Town breweries. And Casey Brewing happened to be
they were open.
And they were actually open, which is a big deal.
Yeah, because that specific location, I don't know if it still is that way. I think it is, but they were only open like 1 weekend a month. Mm-hmm. And they would do tours, and you go buy bottles, and they would release whatever beer they were releasing. So like
I don't remember the beer, to be honest.
The fact they were open was a feat in itself. So we had to stop.
Lady Luck was on our side.
Yeah.
And so we were poured the most delicious sours. And they gave us a tour of the facility, right? There's the big barrels everywhere. The
guy was a great time. We got to try out a bunch of different, like just popping bottles. We got to try a bunch of different things. Yeah. It was such a cool, that was the first time I'd done like a bottle.
Right?
Yeah. And it's beautiful. And we just like had the dogs, and we like put them outside. Put them under the patio. They were great.
I'm sure Remy barked at
I think we went out and checked on them regularly. We're not saying you'd recommend with that, but like it was a beautiful day, and
I think it was in April, so it wasn't too bad.
We just it was the first time that at least I had ever done like a bottle type of brewery.
That's
where
fair.
They didn't have really. I don't remember if they had anything on tap. If we were just popping bottles. So it's just a cool experience. It was an experience I'd never had. So yeah. Anyways,
it was great.
That was fun.
Totally recommend.
Yeah, great mountain town. If you like sours, they're fantastic. They also opened another location in Glendale.
That sounds right.
Open more regularly. They kind of have a different variety of beers on. It's not just bottle shares, but they have their bottles as well.
Yeah, they're kind of expanding in their own way.
Yeah, which makes sense. Number 7, gonna bring it back into the local area and a local brewery to heart because I work there and I'm a big fan of everyone at the place. And we went to their anniversary this last year. 15th upslope. Upslope. I would say a couple different reasons this is such a memorable one. One, like I was able to actually give the tour, and it was the at the time biggest brewery that I had ever worked at.
Right.
Bigger tanks, bigger facilities, like more production.
Hell of a canning line.
Hell of a canning line, and that's just like such a fun story. Is like this massive canning line that used to be like a Coca-Cola bottling line, and then they transferred it into a beer one. And if I'm remembering the story perfectly correctly, they actually like beat New Belgium for the most beers filled per minute. In like a challenge. New Belgium like had the record for the craft beers. Like I don't know if it's nationally or just for Colorado, and they like cranked that sucker up for however long, right over like the time to beat the record. And I think they might still have the record. It might have changed, but it was a handful of years I worked there. But definitely very unique to see such a massive canning line for at the time, right? Like at most maybe you saw like smaller canning lines or none
at
or
all.
just crawlers.
That was definitely. I think that was my first canning line outside of the course tour. Which is a lot more massive.
Yeah, fair. You're gonna be like right in the middle.
Perspective, right? Just how many beers each facility is pushing out. So I really loved going in. You know, just kind of like a fly on the wall. If Chelsea's working at this brewery and I'm around, I'm gonna go check it out. Yeah. And what's cool about the craft beer community is oftentimes everybody is so willing to share their knowledge and their experience and talk about that canning line or talk about what they're brewing, you know what I mean? And just, it's okay to go in the back and have those conversations. They give tours and what have you, but
don't just walk back there.
Don't just walk back in there. But it was kind of nice to be like, I'm here helping out, just grabbing some extra toilet cleaner, you know what I mean?
When they would do the, like when they do their anniversaries and they do big festivals, they open up and they like barricade off a lot of the stuff, and it's a really cool experience to
walk in the back.
like really be part and be in it. So it's another thing that I just love of how they do their setup. It makes it feel very transparent and open, and I'm pretty sure they're still a certified B Corp, or at least they were going for it. So like that's just part of their whole mission, and how they run their events just shows that that's part of their mission. So great event, great time,
great people. Shout out.
Brewing. Number 7.
Bringing it back. Number 6. We're doing Outer Range.
I saw the L and I.
L for 7.
Saw 7. Dyslexia, guys.
Outer Range. So this is actually just more recently. We were up in Silverthorne for our Certified Cicerone tasting exam, which we passed. Thank you very much. And there's a guy there named Billy who is the cellar manager at Outer Range. Super friendly guy, amazing. Shout out to you, Billy. Had a great time. He was like, hey, come down to Outer Range. Like, I'll give you a tour and we'll hang out. We'll talk some more. Yeah. Awesome. So we did. How could we pass up on that opportunity? Truly. Some of the most sophisticated brew house that I've seen. Especially the technology they've got rocking through there for that size. That was like, incredible.
That was kind of like their jam, is the amount of beer they crank out in the size of a facility is pretty astonishing. And they really mastered that. The art, the finesse, the structure, the process, the whole thing is pretty cool seeing how they did it.
Yeah, and wrapping their canning line a lot around the brew house and what's already sitting there, right? It was very, very clever. And they opened or are opening up their spot over in Chamonix. Officially
open, I think they said in December.
Yeah.
Chamonix, France.
So pretty cool getting to hear about that as well. Yeah. And how the Europeans aren't shy to say that they too have a good IPA. So back off. I'm just kidding. It was more jovial than that. Not so feisty. Very cool tour. Shout out to them.
Number 7. This was one that was, God, why am I stuck on 7? Number 5.
We're going gambling.
Fair. Odyssey Brewing. This one I love that you put on because it wasn't necessarily on my highest list, but this was, we did a sensory tasting for off flavors there, and it's kind of our first time getting to experience that. Yep. And because it was like an event, they basically put it on in the back of the house to not take up like seats, and sat back there and drank crappy beer. Keystone. And then they put crappy flavors in the crappy beer, and that's kind of how it went. And it was honestly, like, it was a good time. It was fun.
We learned a lot.
Learned a
right?
lot. And that was like the best part.
Yeah,
so it was memorable to be like back by the tanks drinking crappy beer and like learning these off flavors and trying to smell stuff, and it was a great experience. So for that, you made it to the number 5.
And I would say the inspiration to continue our education in the craft beer world.
Yep,
for sure. So number 4, again, more recently, you maybe saw this episode or not, but we were over at Someplace Else Brewery and we got to hang out with Tori. Yeah. And she gave us a great tour of the Brew Arcade there and their brew house operations. What an amazing human being, super welcoming and sharing of her story. Very inspiring. Yeah. Just great to be a part of, right? It's not just about the brew, it's about the community, right? And how willing and open she is to sharing in the community and encouraging people to be a part of it as well. Shout out to that.
The little one barrels were my favorite. Okay. They were adorable. Yeah. And they had like giant little koozies on them. So they were super cute. But like, what a good concept. I love the story of why they do it.
Every Friday.
Yeah. That's just the great, that was probably the highlight of that tour for me.
For sure.
We're into number 3, not number 7. Number 3.
Flaming 7
is Four Noses. We've been talking about them a lot, but we couldn't not hit them on because
we kind of gotta.
That's where we got our first brewery tour.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Where I got to give my first brewery tours, and where I got to learn about brewery tours, and where I got into the brewing space, and how all of this became because of Four Noses, and partnering with such an incredible family, and getting to be hired with just. Honestly, probably determination. I think Tommy said I was the only one that applied, so they waited and was like, well, she's the only one that applied. And we're all great friends, so it was fantastic.
Yeah. I had no idea what the back of a brewery looked like. I definitely know what the back of a bar looks like, but to go in the back and see these tanks in the brewer house and learn about the process and the operation. Yeah. I had no idea. Yeah. I mean, Anarchy, one of their first IPAs, I think that was one of the first IPAs I had ever had. And it wrecked my world. And I loved it. I had an incredibly unhealthy love affair with Anarchy. And it was great and beautiful times.
Great and beautiful times.
so thank you for that.
All the love. You always see us like sporting their glassware, their merch. I mean, we just have all the love. It's just such a wholesome experience.
Part of the origin story.
Yeah, part of the origin story. Like the reason of the origin story. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened some other way, but that is the start of it. So all the love to Four Noses. Thanks for introducing us to brewery tours.
That's right.
Number 2. This not to take away from number 1. This would have been my number 1.
We didn't even. Oh, fair. Yeah. Well, I'll let you take it if it's your favorite.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So
because number 1 is my number 1.
Yeah. The Cantillon in Belgium. That's right. Very, very old brewery. I don't remember what the years of when it got open, but it's
one of the first.
Yeah, how old? Another brewery that basically only does bottles. Lambics. They do sours. They do wild fermented beers. And why this was such a fun tour was one, like, just going to this old brewery. We had to, like, walk our asses off.
It was more like a museum.
Yeah, it was almost more like a museum. And we had to, like, walk hella far from where we were staying to get to this brewery. We get there, and we like, all right, let's grab a couple bottles. We had to wait for the time slot for the tour to open. And we're like, all right, whatever. We'll drink some, like, and they're big bottles, right? They're the big ones. And we happened to run into the owner of Broken Compass there.
Yeah.
That we were like, oh my God. Like, so we like had like a little bit of beer together. He gave us his leftover beers because they were on their way out. He'd done the tour before. And so we're like, oh my God, so excited to do this tour. And we're a decent amount of beer because I think we had like 45 minutes and we're like, we got to get through these bottles.
I actually thought we only drank afterwards. So this is news to me.
So we had all of his bottles to get through and ours before we did the tour. Yeah. And then it's a self-guided tour, which we didn't realize. And so they basically give you a little pamphlet, and we're like walking through, and there's a group of, it's you, Kevin, me, Troy, Campbell. Yeah. I think it was like the 5 of us.
Rot, the original Root Rot.
Yeah, it was Root Rot. Yeah. And we're walking through, and we're playing popcorn, if you remember as a little child, that you like basically read the pamphlet, and we'd be like, popcorn, Chelsea, popcorn, Campbell. And we'd read the next paragraph as we're going through this brewery and like learning about all of like the ages and like the open fermentation and all the barrels and all the old ass equipment.
My mind exploded.
And it was a totally different world
So
because
cool.
I didn't really know anything about wild, like open fermented beers before.
Right.
And then we were pretty tipsy playing popcorn and the people behind us hated us. Eventually they just skipped past us because we were so slow reading through it. And
We're
it was
having
just,
a good time.
we had a good time. And we went back and I think we got the rest of the bottles that we hadn't drank yet.
And they came in these cute little wicker baskets.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you're going on a
So
fun
cute.
picnic.
So much fun.
Super old. Lots of information. You're in Belgium. You're drinking these old ass lambics.
Yeah, incredible. The yeast strains, right, have been around for hundreds of
They're
years.
just hanging out there on the wall going, I'm going to make your beer taste like Belgium.
It's my turn to dive in. It's gonna be great. So,
Oh,
anyways, we'll get to our
amazing
number one.
memory. Number one.
This is also good. This, yeah, I can't say this isn't a number one, but
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Number one is Lagunitas.
hey,
We have talked about this before. Why? Because I have that memory, never leaves my brain.
unexpected.
Oh my God, totally unexpected because it was Michelle's cousin, right? It was kind of like that last.
The tour, but even just walking into a hallway of
Oh yeah, so you walk
Willy
in
Wonka,
and
like
it's
totally
dark,
unexpected.
but it's their bright colors, right? Like there's the blues and there's the greens and there's the pink, and it's like walking into a nightclub. But then they're like bubbles, and then that song starts playing, Pure Imagination, and then there's these giant tanks, and I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
It was quite
How
an
cool.
incredible, like, and it was
How
totally
cool.
unexpected. Like, it was just that we were walking to a brewery and we were like, oh my God, we walked into
then
like
you
a
got to walk
carnival
up,
ride.
right? So similar to like our Avery tour, our
Yeah, the
course tour, you
room.
go up and you get on top of the brew house.
Yeah, I was thinking right when we got there, there's the room that had like the giant dog and like the different sized furnitures to kind of give this perspective of like almost like a dollhouse.
Yeah, you're going in the elevator, right?
Yeah, it's super cool.
So you get up on the catwalk and there's more of these ginormous tanks
just
everywhere.
huge.
And I can't remember her name. Feel a little bad about that, but it's been a little bit of time.
We'll plug it in.
Took us on a tour throughout the facility, and
That was great.
I think I was just in such shock and awe.
They weren't doing tours anymore. They hadn't restarted up tours yet since COVID,
fair.
and so we were able
got the
to.
end.
Yeah, we were able to go waltz through and learn about the size of the facility and kind of the backstory and how it got going and when they moved the location. It was just a really incredible experience because I think like we had such little expectations going in, and then we're just completely blown away by the hospitality, by the songs, the entrance, the whole grand scheme, the ambiance of it all. It was great. Great experience.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what?
We have great videos of the tour too.
Yeah, as they saw. Yeah. As they saw.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Right?
Because we put it in there.
Put those in there. We do have a bonus for you.
Yep.
That's for you. I want you to tee us up for this one. Couldn't leave it out.
Yep. When we were in Bozeman the first time, we did our off flavor for Cicerone,
Which we failed.
which we did not pass. Afterwards, we went out and did a tour with Rich, who is a master Cicerone.
There are very few of in the world.
Very, very few. And he was able to take us through not only different breweries in the area, but break down better how to read the numbers, to understand the beers, to understand the hops, understand like all these other aspects that I just had no idea. And we got to do it behind the scenes. We got to try some grains, got to smell some hops, and all that was fantastic. But just like learning nearly like a different way that somebody views the world, and the world is beer, but just he views it in such a different way than I view it, in the way you view it. And that's what it wasn't necessarily a specific tour as much as we got a tour from him. And for that, Rich, we are one step closer to passing. And thank you for keeping us inspired, because we did pass the second go around. So thank you for that. And yeah, it was a great time. I'd say
so much fun.
So much fun.
Can't leave that out. Also, it's Bozeman. Bozeman's such a great place to visit, and everybody again super welcoming and nice.
Yeah. So great trip down memory lane. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our top 10. A little more long-winded. Hopefully enjoyed reminiscing of our stories, because we at the very least had a good time.
It was a good trip.
And we can't wait to explore more tours with you over the next episodes. We've got some great ones coming up. Lots of breweries have been really excited and loving what we're doing. and that warms our heart. And it's fantastic to know that people see a value and are loving what we're doing. So
absolutely,
we're going to keep with those, and we'll keep teasing out who the next breweries are as we get along and tour through. And
speaking of
next episode.
Speaking of, if you are a brewery watching and you want to get in on the tours, our information is not far. It's in the description. So
let us know. Love to have you.
Don't hesitate.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great episode. Lots of fun.
Start to the season.
Yeah.
Oh my
excited
God.
to keep this rolling, and great start to the season. And thank you all for watching, and hopefully have fun with it. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Thirsty.
I'm also Thursday. Thank you, everybody, for the support so far. It's been a pleasure. It's been a hoot. Don't pollute. Don't forget to join us. We got some pretty exciting stuff coming up for our next episode. We're going to be checking out Cohesion Brewery for International Women's Day. And then we're doing some collabs with some other beer podcasts. So super excited to bring all that information to you. Make sure to come by and check it out.
We keep going. Hey, guys. Have a great one, and thanks for the support.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.